Welcome. Well, you are at home with Jim and Joy, and you are an important part of our EWTN family. And we are so delighted that you have welcomed us into your home, and we would love to hear from you. So send us an email with a question or a comment to jimandjoy@ewtn.com, and check us out on Facebook. Well, the question for today's show is this: how do pregnancy help centers support women who are abortion vulnerable or are experiencing pregnancy loss through abortion? And you know, we have the beautiful privilege of running a pregnancy medical center in downtown Birmingham.
Our Choice Birmingham Women's Center.
Yeah, and there are over, close to 3,000 pregnancy resource centers throughout the country, 2,750, and then close to 3,000 throughout the world. And we work with Heartbeat International, which is an overall governing board equipping you to do your work very well. They're on the cutting edge, very informed, with information, empowering all the people who are in the centers to love and empower the women who are abortion vulnerable or who are post-abortion, to heal, to be restored, and to be loved, and to be renewed, and to be forgiven. Amen. And so that's what most pregnancy resource centers do on a day-to-day basis, defending the culture of life.
We're going to be speaking with Jarrell Gotze, who oversees Heartbeat International. He's the president of Heartbeat International. And they have numerous ministries under that umbrella, like OptionLine, optionline.org. And we'll hear more about that, because if you go to that online, or if you just call 1-800-712-4357, you will find out every pregnancy medical center in America. And all you got to do is put in your zip code. So if you need that help, or you want to work there at one of the centers, or volunteer, or give to them, they're all there. Post-abortion healing as well. Just go to OptionLine. They have the abortion pill reversal. Do you know that that it could be rectified, so to speak, reversed? So those who've taken chemicals to end the life of that baby in utero, if they contact one of these pro-life centers, we can help reverse that process. Right. We do that at our center. It's an amazing thing. Lots of people don't know about it. Heartbeat International, 1.5 million clients served each year. 1.5 million clients served each year. Those are women and guys that have been involved in the pregnancy. So they help that many. 300,000 mothers have chosen life. 300,000. Nearly 250,000 free ultrasounds. 250,000 free ultrasounds. Planned Parenthood charges $100 to $150. You get them free at the approximately 3,000 pregnancy medical centers that are pro-life Christian. Over 3,000 affiliates around the world, all over the world. So we want you to be encouraged that God's raised up an army for this time, to love these women that find themselves in crisis pregnancy, to love those women that have made the decision to have an abortion and now are dealing with post-abortion syndrome and trauma. They can come to any one of these pregnancy centers and say, I thought I was doing the right thing. It just created a whole nother set of problems. They can get hope and healing and counsel so that they won't go down that road again, and be enlisted in the army of life, because they will become some of the most eloquent spokespersons on behalf of the gospel of life.
Well, and the landscape has changed throughout our country since Roe versus Wade fell last June 24th. And, everyone's trying to find out where they land and what is their response to it. But we need to be informed as to exactly what is going on. And so the question is this: how do pregnancy help centers support women who are abortion vulnerable or experiencing pregnancy loss through abortion?
So we're going to take a break at this point. We'll come back and we'll have Jarrell Gotze, president of Heartbeat International. You're going to want to hear the great things that are going on throughout our country and the world on behalf of loving these women in special need and helping them all the way through to bring their child to term and into life, to help them if they've had an abortion. It's a great work, and we want you to be a part of it. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Welcome back. Well, our question for today is this: how do pregnancy help centers support women who are abortion vulnerable or experiencing pregnancy loss through abortion? And we have on the phone with us Jor-El Godsey. Now, Jor-El is the president of Heartbeat International. We wanted to have him on today so he can explain to our family exactly what Heartbeat International is and what it does. Well, Jor-El, we welcome you to At Home. We're delighted to have you.
Thank you, Joy. It's always a privilege to be with you. And
Well,
I always enjoy talking about pregnancy health centers.
of course you do. You're the main man. Well, we want you to tell our family what is Heartbeat International and the difference that it's making in the landscape of our country and the world.
Well, Heartbeat International actually was called into existence by the pregnancy health movement of those early years. Way back, even before Roe versus Wade became a thing, Heartbeat International was already forming, and it actually became official in 1971. And that was the beginning of working specifically in the compassion area of the pro-life movement to help those find alternatives to abortion when they themselves were facing an abortion decision, which was becoming more prevalent in those early years, of course, across the nation. And then, as you well know, that, of course, Roe then made it across the entire nation, all 50 states, and even began spreading it even more around the world as well. So Heartbeat International has worked for these last 5+ decades to help pregnancy centers open, to help them thrive, to help them learn more and get new information. We advocate for them. We represent them in ways that they can't always do themselves. And so we're serving the entire community of pregnancy health, helping them reach more people better, and no more important now and then in this post-Roe environment.
Yes. Well, we saw up on your website, it's an incredible website, the Heartbeat Difference. And so the stats, you could tell us we're right or wrong about these stats or what they mean, but it says 1.5 million clients served each year, 1.5 million, 300,000 mothers choose life, nearly 250,000 free ultrasounds performed, over 3,000 affiliates around the world. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, that's right. Well, of course, those numbers are always growing every day. And in fact, we actually have now more than 3,400 affiliated locations in more than 90 countries, because this is not just something that affects the U.S. It's really something that's serving and necessary around the globe.
Jor-El, tell our family about Option Line and the effectiveness of that.
Wow. So Option Line has been in existence since 2003. It's a service to really the pro-life community, the public community, but it's on behalf of the pregnancy health community. So we advertise nationally and even internationally at times, and we get connected to about 1,000 people every single day who are reaching Option Line, and we then will connect them to their local pregnancy help. The people that they may not know is right nearby, right down the street, but we know that they're there. We're able to serve them and create that connection. And so it's a great opportunity for us. We reach actually through the website, the outreach website that Option Line does. We have about 1 million people that reach us every single year. And out of those are those facing difficult, unplanned pregnancies. And we're there to help them, connect them with life-saving ministry at pregnancy help organizations, maternity homes even, adoption agencies. That's our hope and desire. And that's what our team works 24/7, 365 to accomplish.
Yeah. Well, this is just so important, and we underline this all the time in our own personal lives, speaking with people, when we go to churches and we share about the pro-life movement, what you need to know about it. And so Option Line is there, as you say, optionline.org. Phone number is 1-800-712-4357, helpline 313-131. And so I always say to people, look, you get a phone call from somebody you know that's in a state that you're not in, or somebody's calling and saying, my daughter's pregnant, we don't know what to do, they're thinking about going to an abortion center, what are the different options? I mean, people are just there like, what do we do? How would we ever know that? And I just say, go to optionline.org, put in the zip code of where that person is, and then what comes up is all these pregnancy centers that are there in that community, and lists them. I mean, that makes a difference between life and death. You don't have a lot of time to respond to this because the pro-abortion industry is publicizing their stuff.
That's exactly right. And it's something that everybody in every church should be equipped with, is the
Right.
knowledge that they can direct people to life-affirming health. We don't all walk around with that knowledge, but our team does and has it at their fingertips and can get people connected quickly. And as you know, it's so important to get them connected quickly these days because the abortion industry is preying on them and looking for every opportunity to get them to their abortion faster. Chemical abortion has become a ginormous issue. So we need to get them to life-affirming care, life-affirming health as quickly as possible. So everybody should know optionline.org, should know that 1-800 number, 1-800-712-HELP is there for them to be able to connect. Or if they just want to, if they want to help, if they want to find a place that
Right.
they know that they can pour themselves into, great local pregnancy centers like the ones you guys have.
Right.
Jarrell, tell our family about the Abortion Pill Reversal Network.
Okay, so that's something that we took over in 2018, and we've been able to see something really powerful happen because as the chemical abortion has become the biggest number of abortions. In 2020, it was more than 50%. Today, we estimate that it's in the 70% range of 70% of all abortions are chemical abortions. But there is hope because as surely as the abortion industry has raised up the chemical abortion, I believe that the Lord has revealed an ability to help her change her mind in those last moments, even after she's taken the first of the two pills in a chemical abortion. And that abortion pill reversal is simply progesterone. It's progesterone that's identical to what a woman produces in her own body during her pregnancy. And we were able to give her a high dose if we can do it within 72 hours. We have up to almost a 70% chance to change the outcome of that original abortion pill. And we have seen now, we count, since the beginning of the network, which is in 2018, 2012, we've seen 4,500 babies saved. Our records show they've been saved not from an abortion decision, but from an actual abortion process. And that's really what's so important today is chemical abortion's on the rise. Women should always have the opportunity to withdraw consent from an abortion they no longer want. And that's why we need to stand up. And our team at Option Line helps our Abortion Pill Rescue Network team. They're also available 24/7, 365. We can get them to that life-affirming care as quickly as possible. Time is of the essence in those moments, and we're there for them.
That's powerful, over 4,000, and I think that's probably a low number because we're all trying to report as best we can, but we know that we've had this at our center for some time now, and it is just so amazing to see that reversal take place, and it takes place pretty frequently. And if it doesn't, there's no, besides losing the baby, which is the ultimate thing, there doesn't seem to be any other ramifications from the extra progesterone that's in that system. And seeing these children, you just look at them and you're so thrilled, and it's kind of like, you're supposed to be dead, but you're alive. Yeah. I mean, it's like so miraculous. And so many pro-lifers don't know it.
Don't forget this, Jim, because I was corrected by one of the nurses on the hotline, and she said, even those that are not successful, at least we gave them the chance to try. We gave them that piece that they tried to change the direction that they have been going in. Some of them have been coerced into that decision. Yeah. Some of them have been pressured into that decision. And the fact that even when it wasn't successful, we gave the moms the ability to say that they did something, that they pursued something for the sake of their children and for the life of that child, even if it didn't end up the way that we wanted it to. So it's a win all around, but of course we celebrate when those babies can be rescued. And I have been able to talk to and hold many of them who have been saved, and it's just an amazing thing to be rescued right from the midst of an abortion. And you're right, we don't know, frankly, this side of heaven, how many that will apply to.
Yeah. Well, just getting the word out there, because I'm finding even among people who've been pro-life for quite some time, that I think most of the time they don't even know there's abortion pill reversal. I mean, they're absolutely stunned by it. Why they're not hearing about it more, I don't know, but that's why we're doing the show, so that they do know. And it's another reason when you're in that situation, I mean, if somebody comes forth in your family or friends and they say, I feel terrible about this, I don't know what to do, you can call optionline.org or find out, and you can find out through them, your local pregnancy center. And each pregnancy center usually has the information there and has a doctor that they're working with. If not, they can get in touch with you and you'll connect them with somebody in their local community. Jarrell, tell us a little bit, because I also use Option Line. I know Rachel's Vineyard, post-abortion healing and all these things, but Option Line can also give people information about that as well, right? I mean, if they called and said, I'm calling you, I already had an abortion, I feel this guilt and shame, what can you do for me? Where can I find help? Does Option Line help with that, to connect them?
Absolutely, yeah, as we can. The best ones that are local to know that type of information are the pregnancy centers themselves. Yeah. And so that's what we'll try to connect them to. But we do know that we can connect with some national groups that are working to collect women and men, by the way, who are facing that that opportunity for healing. And so, yes, that's definitely something that Option Line can help people get in touch with.
Jarrell, just give us a closing word now. Just speak to the people. You've got a large audience in the second phase of the pro-life movement. Our next guest, Maria Gallagher, speaks about the second phase of the pro-life movement. Just speak a word to us, encourage us, and how they might be able to connect with you.
Well, I appreciate this, and I appreciate the opportunity. It is so important. Women now more than ever need this kind of life-saving outreach, and this includes those in the life state as well as in the abortion state. Lots of people are thinking, hey, Roe is done, so we've won this, we move on. But that's not true. There are women waking up in life states today not knowing how they're going to do what they find out when they find out they're pregnant, not knowing what they're going to do or who they're going to turn to. And that's why the Pregnancy Help movement is still so important. Local pregnancy centers are still critical for them in the life states as well as in the abortion states. Because if we don't connect with her and help her do that, she will find a way to that abortion. And we need to be the ones to speak life, to bring joy into that, and to help her know that she has a chance to choose life.
Jarrell, that's a great closing word. It speaks to us in particular as we lead our center, which is a center in a life state, and we're seeing almost the same number of girls considering abortion coming to us. And some of them know what's going on in our state, but they're saying, I want to have this ultrasound because I need to know if I could go right over to Atlanta or Florida. Am I meeting their criteria? And it goes on and on. So thank you for addressing that. Jarrell, God bless, preserve, and keep you in Heartbeat International. Thank you so much, brother. Keep up your great work.
God bless.
Thank you.
Well, we're at break time
We
already.
are. He did a great job.
So so many of you are doing such great work, but all of us need to have a part in this as intercessors, as contributors to various ministries, as volunteers, and all together we will build a new culture of life, marriage, and the family. We'll be right back. Plenty more to come. Don't go away.
Welcome back. Well, before we wrap up today's show, we're going to go to Rome to check in with Joan Lewis. Now, Joan, what's the latest news from Rome?
Well, hi, Jim and Joy. Greetings from Rome. Another scorcher of a day here, as it was over this weekend. It was a scorcher in several interesting ways. One, of course, is the temperature in some cases, the triple-digit historically high temperatures that have been covering so many cities in Italy and supposed to last throughout the week. It was also scorching, if you will, because there was a hot-off-the-press announcement Saturday by the Vatican that Pope Francis had once again made a stunning appointment on what was supposed to simply be a quiet weekend stay vacation, his time in the Vatican. However, he took us all off guard, and what the Holy Father did, he approved the appointment of Bishop Joseph Shen Bin of Shanghai. The bishop was moved there by the communist authorities in China, actually transferred from another diocese. And this was done without the Vatican's approval. Now, why would the Vatican need approval? Well, what we're talking about here is the provisional agreement signed between the Holy See and China in 2018, ratified in 2020, and again in 2022 for 2 more years. And this agreement regulates the nominations and transfers of bishops in China. Technically, it seems, though the agreement has never been made public, it seems that the Chinese can nominate someone whom they wish to be a bishop, and then the Pope, of course, is supposed to have the right to deny or accept that nomination. So again, this was never, the agreement was never made public, and it has been criticized over the years quite roundly, in particular for what seemed to be its lopsided view. That is, all the favor seems to go in the direction of China. Now, what was interesting about Saturday was that Cardinal Secretary of State Pietro Parolin, in a highly unusual explanatory note in the Vatican media, he said, Pope Francis wanted to remedy the canonical irregularities created in Shanghai in view of the greater good of the diocese and the fruitful exercise of the bishop's pastoral ministry. His intention is fundamentally pastoral and will allow the bishop to work with greater serenity to promote evangelization and foster ecclesial communion. Now, Bishop Shen's installation in April of this year by the communist authorities is a direct violation of this provisional agreement. And in fact, it's the second time in a year that Beijing has made an unauthorized appointment. Now, however, Cardinal Parolin, in his remarks, he did seem to chide China because he said it's indispensable that all episcopal appointments in China, including transfers, be made by consensus, as agreed, and to keep alive the spirit of dialogue between the parties. Together, we must prevent disharmonious situations that exist, that create disagreements and misunderstandings. So, on those words, all we can do is hope and pray that things work out well for Bishop Shen in Shanghai and that issues such as this are resolved. So, on that note, back to you.
Joan, thanks so much for another wonderful report and so much information that you bring to us that we don't know, and suddenly we get it so that we can respond appropriately, at least in prayer. What a blessed show today. What a day of encouragement. 3,000 or so pregnancy centers throughout this country doing the work of the gospel of life, having the conversation with women, trying to make a decision they should never have to make about abortion. So many choosing life. Those who do not come back and receive healing, that they might be freed from guilt and shame and be enlisted into the army of God for the gospel of life. Wednesday and Thursday, we have Maria Gallagher with us, Mercy's Power, Inspiration to Serve the Gospel of Life, a good companion book on the journey of the gospel of life. God bless you. God bless all of your loved ones. You're an important part of this EWTN family. You are never alone, and you're always at home with Jim and with Joy. Bye now.